Now, a busy night for air traffic controllers in South Africa as leaders from all over the world make their way to Johannesburg for tomorrow's memorial service for Nelson Mandela. You'd have to go a long way to find anyone who'd dispute Mandela's rare combination of ideals and wily political skills. Allan Little was our correspondent in South Africa when Mandela was president and has returned to Soweto, from where he sent this report illustrating how that rare skill set was brought into play in a moment of real danger for the country.
Nelson Mandela was forged in the fierce heat of radical black politics. Soweto was the cauldron of the early liberation struggle. This, not prison, was what gave Mandela the political steel that guided his life. Prison would one day graft onto the skills he learned here a unique moral authority.
But that's not where his real authority, his real power sprang from. It sprang from a set of hard-headed political skills as a leader, from a clarity of political vision sustained over decades, and from a steely ability to make himself the indispensable figure at moments of great crisis.
April 1993 was one such moment in which Mandela would prove himself a brilliant political operator and save South Africa. The white government had still not conceded a date for free elections. The communist leader, Chris Hani, was a heroic figure, second only to Mandela in popular esteem. And then he was shot dead by a white racist.
I went over the house and I saw Chris. He was lying there, clutching a newspaper. And I think he was dead.
Houses were set alight and looted.
Public rage tore through the country. Many blacks lost patience with a peace process that seemed endless. Rolf Meyer was a key player, leading the negotiations for the white government.
I would say for 36 hours it was definitely a tipping point. It could have very easily moved us over the edge. And everything was so very sensitively balanced that a major impact like this could have taken us completely out of the possibility of a peaceful solution.
We want an election date now.
Mandela told the white government bluntly there could be no more delay. He needed them to agree a date immediately for free elections. Only that could halt the slide. He then appeared on television at immense risk to his own public credibility to make a dramatic appeal for calm.
Our grief and anger is tearing us apart.
He knew the public mood was turning against reconciliation, but still he spoke of the white woman who had tipped off the police about the killer's identity.
A white woman of Afrikaner origin risked her life so that we may know and bring to justice this assassin.
Mandela had the authority from within himself. He had the inner conviction to do the right thing that would actually confirm his leadership. And that was a perfect moment where he did it.
The government committed to elections. Democracy was now only a matter of time. It had a date. Mandela had snatched from the greatest moment of peril the biggest advance. At Soweto Cricket Oval, black and white together take a moment of silence for Mandela before play. This is, in a sense, the future he rescued for this country. In the early days of Mandela's presidency, the England cricket team came here to play a one-day friendly against a Soweto team. Then the streets around the club were still tense with the aftershock of so much political violence. Halfway through the match, Nelson Mandela turned up, unannounced.
I was standing a few feet away and I could see that as Mandela shook the hand of those young Soweto players, they were shining with pride, not just to be meeting Mandela, but also because they, black South Africans, were doing something that had been impossible until now. They were hosting the England team. They took it as a great gesture of respect from the outside world, which is what it was. But it was symbolic of something else as well. It was symbolic of the great promise of the future, symbolic of all the limitless possibilities that now lay ahead.
Today, everyone has got opportunities.
Tsongo Sibiya grew up in tear gas and turmoil. He's too young to have been here the day Mandela came, but he remembers what it meant to Sowetans.
I think for the people of Soweto, that was probably one of the biggest days, especially from a sports perspective, to have the great man himself here.
Apartheid would have locked people like Tsongo out of the lives they live today. They inherit the future that Mandela pulled from the flames of the early 90s.
Today I'm a chartered accountant and I'm just completing my law degree. So I would say, the sky is the limit.
Even 20 years ago, to hear a young black middle-class man speaking like this was pretty rare.
Today I can definitely say it's a norm, and there's a whole lot of us, if I can refer to that word, and I'd like to say to the professionals, let's come back to the grassroots so that Soweto and every other township in South Africa can blossom.
But the spirit of apartheid still walks these Soweto streets. Poverty, for the most part, still has its distinctive skin colour. Did Mandela, in return for the right to vote, in return for freedom, concede too much economically? Did he leave real economic power where it had always been, in white hands? That is the question that the guardians of his legacy are already facing.
No electricity, no water, nothing, no shower. Most of the things don't have.
Caiphas Kanyili has lived in the Deep Kloof migrant workers' hostel for 33 years. Democracy has not improved living conditions here. 20 years after winning the vote, he now wonders what voting is even for.
Are you disappointed?
Oh, yeah. What I'm going to do. We keep on voting. Now we're tired about that. Just because we don't know what we're voting for.
And so two Sowetos emerge from that pivotal moment back in 1993. Hope and an enduring despair sit side by side. Multiple Sowetos, multiple South Africas sing Mandela to his sleep. The greatest moral figure of our age bequeaths a democratic South Africa. But his great political skills have not yet delivered a country that is free from what decades of apartheid and centuries of racial oppression did to it.